The sunbeams from the tall, thin courthouse windows filter through the tall, thin windows of the courthouse, illuminating the court with long golden rays across the shining wooden floor. The air carries the smell of old paper and oiled wood, with a subtle underhint of anxious perspiration. Kody's positioned at the center of the courtroom, stiffening his shoulders, intertwining his fingers, whitening knuckles through tension. His eyes flash around, quick to catch the little movements of Christine, Robyn, Janelle, and Meri. All of the women sit like placed chess pieces, eyes narrowed, lips pursed into thin lines, quietly bracing themselves for the tempest that is coming. Christine fidgets with her notes, tapping the edge of her notebook on the table, her thoughts in a whirl. She recalls late nights of texting Kody, endless conversations that promised nothing but were never delivered. All the memories are raw today, bared to the intense scrutiny of the courtroom. Robyn is beside him, hands folded in her lap, shaking slightly as she irons out the creases in her dress. She looks at Kody, hoping for any sign of reassurance, but sees only the clamped tension in his jaw and the flash of guilt in his eyes. Janelle moves uncomfortably in her seat, her gaze darting toward Christine with a combination of wariness and fascination. She's aware that the storm Christine is about to let out might hit her personally, but she cannot turn away. Meri, as silent as ever, inclines her head, mind working overtime, praying that she will not be made to endure the most agonizing experiences of the last 2 years. The judge walks in, robes flowing, the ring of every step a reminder that time is now official, formal, and unavoidable. The courtroom is silent. Each whisper, each movement sounds magnified. Kody fidgets in his seat, attempting to look calm, but the nervous tremor in his hands gives him away. Robyn clamps her lips shut, repressing tears. Janelle breathes slowly, attempting to stay calm, as Christine's eyes are glued to Kody, anger and disbelief smoldering within them. Even Meri, normally so calm, cannot conceal the tension emanating from her compact form. The case that brought them here appears, at first glance, simple. A family feud over property and money, clandestine decisions, a family driven to the edge by promises broken. But beneath something much more volatile, betrayal, pain, and secret resentments that had been quietly smoldering for years. The first witness is summoned, Christine. She stands, making her way to the center of the courtroom with a sense of fear and resolve. Her heels strike the wooden floor sharply, sounding out in the still room like a war drum. She speaks, her voice firm at first, telling of conversations and concessions she used to rely upon. But as she goes on, the tension of recalling moments of deceit seeps through. She breaks into tears when she speaks about the first moment she understood she had been deceived by Kody. She remembers a budget planning meeting that was never actually discussed with her, decisions made behind her back, promises unkept. Each detail she recounts appears to stiffen the air, weighing on all of them sitting in the room. Kody stiffens, his hands shaking ever so delicately as he reaches for the email, his mind whirring. Robyn's eyes widen as she reads the contents, a mix of shock and hurt crossing her face. Janelle's mouth tightens, and Meri's hands fidget nervously in her lap. The air feels heavier, almost suffocating. The judge raises an eyebrow, observing the tension, but allows the proceedings to continue, knowing that today is a day that will reveal truths long buried. As Christine goes on, she describes instances of betrayal that were subliminal to begin with. A covert conversation here, a choice made by the family without consultation there. But now, out in the open in the courtroom, they bear a different gravity. Each confession fuels the tension, each memory a painful reminder of the fissures in a family that had always tried to seem joined together. Robyn's hands are trembling. She clamps them together to calm herself, a rush of anger and sorrow sweeping over her. The lawyer interrogates Christine cautiously, asking her to go through things without embellishment. But the emotion in her voice is unguardable. Christine talks of sleepless nights, the worry of never knowing if Kody would make choices that might impact all of them suddenly. Her voice, while even in pitch, is filled with anguish. The courtroom hangs on her words, mesmerized, as each phrase meticulously builds a picture of a strained family. Christine presents documents, photographs and messages, the proof that backs up her assertions. The room responds in small increments, a silent gasp there, a sudden catch of breath here. Kody's face puckers up. He was well aware the evidence existed, but to see it before all of them is nearly too much to bear. Robyn's mouth covers her for a moment as she battles to keep tears from falling while she absorbs the information. Janelle's eyes squint, reading over every line, every date, as if trying to commit the betrayal to memory. Meri fidgets in her seat, quietly asking herself how a family ends up here. The story starts to change a little as the lawyer confronts Kody, demanding an explanation. He clears his throat, voice shaking first, then finds steadiness as he tells his side. His words, carefully selected as they are, cannot disguise the defensiveness beneath them. Christine intervenes once, voice cold, insisting on clear answers, accusing him of every decision he made in secret. Robyn leans forward, now crying freely, as she speaks of the toll of the backroom decisions. The courtroom is a pressure cooker, the tension escalating by the second. Every response, the shaking hands, the clenched jaws, the stifled sobs, only heightens the drama. The judge demands a short recess, but even as others rise from their seats, the atmosphere in the room is charged. The whispered conversation is urgent but subdued, secrets whispered into the high ceilings, all held in anticipation for the tempest to resume. Kody leans back, eyes shut tight for a moment, struggling to compose himself. The women look at each other, Christine with sharp defiance, Robyn with a fragile blend of anger and woundedness, Janelle assessing what her next step will be, and Meri wishing for resolution. The first session has uncovered cracks that are not so easily fixed. The fragments of the family, previously painstakingly assembled, now seem jagged, sharp, and precarious. As the session ends, the courtroom slowly drains, each step resonating in the vast room. Christine collects her papers, still flashing her eyes with a blend of pain and determination. Robyn hesitates, her head down, weighing the emotional burden of the testimony. Meri and Janelle share quiet nods, honoring the unspoken agreement that their family dynamics have forever changed. Kody sits, shoulders drooping, aware that his choices in secret are now out in the open, subject to the judgment of all who stand before him. In the outside world, late afternoon sun falls across the stairs, casting long shadows, a symbol of the threatening consequences of the revelations of the day. The first part is over, but the drama is only beginning. The next session will offer more intense emotional confrontations, jaw-dropping surprises, and surprises that will alter life for Kody and the women he married. The courtroom is back in session after the short break, and the mood is darker than before. The gentle hum of the crowd fades the moment the judge comes in, his robe dragging on the floor like a harbinger of the tempest yet to rage. The air is heavy with expectation, every heartbeat blown up as though the walls themselves are breathless. Kody sits stiff, hands clasped against his knees, gaze directed at a point in the distance, though every nerve in his body is tense with awareness of the changing energy within the room. Robyn stands to approach the stand. Her initial steps are tentative, the soles of her shoes clacking against the wooden floor, sounding ominously loud in the silence. Her fingers shake slightly as she folds her hands together in her lap, attempting to disguise the tension building within her. When at last she turns to the courtroom, Her voice is subdued, nearly questioning, describing incidents she had buried for so long. Private money deals, covert conversations carefully omitted from family discussions, choices made without her consent. The serenity in her voice is misleading. Each word is filled with a burden of pent-up rage and sorrow. Christine sits in the audience, her jaw clenched, her eyes ablaze with the same anger Robyn has harbored for so long. Janelle leans forward slightly, studying Robyn's every word, looking for underlying meaning in her hesitations and gasps. Meri remains quiet, her hands clasped, knuckles white, silently pleading for the ordeal to be over without more devastation. But as Robyn goes on, the fractures in the family's well-constructed veneer become increasingly apparent with every word. Her lawyer asks her methodically, walking her through a timeline of choices and secret moves. Robyn discusses a meeting in which Kody signed documents about property and money without discussing them with any of the wives. She talks about the texts she sent him late at night, begging for truth and transparency, only to get evasive and flippant responses. Her tone becomes more powerful as she goes on, fueled by anger and a need to make sure that her truth is told. Kody fidgets restlessly in his chair, attempting to keep a calm exterior, but the sweat that begins at his temples betrays him. Robyn's eyes flash with pain and outrage. She cannot keep hidden anymore the emotional cost of years of unspoken decisions. Christine leans forward, whispering something to the lawyer beside her, her gaze never leaving Kody. Janelle's hands are clenched tightly, her knuckles white as she absorbs the weight of Robyn's testimony. Meri's lips tremble and she wipes a quiet tear from her cheek, overwhelmed by the emotional storm that has engulfed the room. The lawyer pushes on, inquiring about particular exchanges, about times Robyn attempted to express her fears and was silenced. Her answers are cautious, but every hesitation, every intake of air is charged with emotion. The courtroom audience leans forward, feeling the weight of it all. There is a virtually electric charge, the sort that thickens the air and makes every look and every movement heavy with meaning. Then, in a shocking twist, there is a surprise witness, a close family friend who has been working behind the scenes until this moment. Their entrance is greeted with audible gasps from the audience. The testimony of the witness is tentative at first, describing intimate talks with Kody that were supposed to remain confidential. They expose moments where choices were being made without discussing them with any of the wives, wrapped under the veil of family gain but actually for Kody's selfish interest. The courtroom holds its collective breath. Every new disclosure seems to cut through the family's tenuous cohesion, laying bare the weaknesses they had attempted to cover up. Robyn sits with rapt attention, her face set, a combination of vindication and grief written across her features. Kody's shoulders stiffen, his mouth clenched, eyes flitting agitatedly to the witness, weighing the effect of each utterance. Christine stands up quickly, not able to hold herself back. Her sharp, slicing voice cuts into the proceedings. "You really think we wouldn't discover it?" she insists, her eyes fixed on Kody. "All of these choices, these deceptions, do you have any idea what you've done to us?" Her statements echo throughout the courtroom, leaving no room for denial. Kody's mouth opens in retort, but he pauses, the heavy weight of accusations and evidence temporarily taking the wind from his sails. Janelle's reserved strength cracks, and she leans forward, her voice firm but with an undertone of anger. "This is no longer about money or property. This is about trust. And trust was broken repeatedly," she states, her eyes not wavering. Meri quietly but with unmistakable feeling continues, "We attempted to remain together, yet how can we when everything was concealed from us?" The courtroom falls silent once more, taking in the raw, unfiltered pain of these words. The attorney addresses Kody, demanding explanations. His normally calm, level voice trembles now. He tries to explain his actions, saying that choices were made in the family's best interests, but his words ring hollow under the interrogation of the facts and the searing testimonies of the women. Robyn's glare never falters, her fists clenched in quiet fury. Christine shakes her head incredulously. Janelle's jaw tightens, and even Meri's soft voice carries the weight of anger and disappointment. The unexpected twist comes when another set of documents is entered into evidence. These are not just emails or texts. They include financial records showing secret accounts and undisclosed transactions. The audience gasps collectively. The judge leans forward, eyes narrowing as the documents are passed across the table. Robyn's hands tremble as she goes through them. Christine's eyes open wide in surprise. Janelle presses her lips together, and Meri places her hand over her mouth in shock. Kody goes white, and he slumps back, amazed at the weight of the evidence now before him. The lawyer methodically walks the room through the evidence, pointing out dates, amounts, and inconsistencies. Each revelation builds tension, creating a near unbearable sense of anticipation. The emotional toll is visible. Robyn sobs quietly. Christine's eyes flash with anger. Janelle sits tensely, and Meri's lips tremble as she struggles to maintain composure. Kody's attempts to respond seem increasingly futile, each word undercut by the growing weight of proof and emotional testimony surrounding him. As the session goes on, the story is transformed from factual narration to raw emotional confrontation. Robyn speaks directly to Kody, trembling but firm voice. How could you have made these decisions without even letting us know? Don't you get it about what you've done to this family? The courtroom is frozen in time, every ear pressing to hear every syllable, every heart bearing the weight of her words. Christine takes a step forward, her voice becoming more agitated. We were meant to be partners. We trusted you, and this is how you repay that trust. She pauses, allowing the words to hang there, the silence almost screaming. Kody's eyes dart around, knowing no explanation will fix the shattered trust. Janelle and Meri sit in silence, the two of them processing the discoveries in their own time, the pressure of years of secrets and unspoken decisions weighing upon them. At the end of the session, the women have given their most powerful testimonies to date. The courtroom is charged with unspoken feelings, shock, outrage, grief, and disbelief. Kody sits, exhausted, his self-control broken, seeing the outcome of choices he made in secret. The judge orders a brief recess, but tension in the courtroom refuses to abate. The second session brings even more emotional intensity, as long-held secrets continue to spill out, and the family's future is at stake. The camera, or the narrative lens, paints the scene with precision. Christine's eyes glinting with anger, Robyn's trembling hands, Janelle's tense posture, Meri's quiet sorrow, and Kody's defeated expression. Every glance, every subtle movement tells a story of a family unraveling under the weight of betrayal and secrecy. Kody stands to reply, his voice strained but trying to be reasonable. I believed that I was doing what was best for the family, he stammers, his words stumbling under the glare of the women and the court. His hands tremble slightly as he points to the evidence spread before them. I did not mean to hurt anyone. But Christine interrupts him harshly, her eyes flashing. It doesn't matter what you meant. It's what you did. And the damage is done. The judge leans forward, looking intently at Kody as if considering each word in silence. Robyn looks down, struggling to hold back tears, and images of sleepless nights and silent resentment swarm her mind. Janelle clenches her jaw, tapping her fingers against the table with a subtle tension that oozes from every gesture. Meri bites her lip, looking around the courtroom as if trying to find an escape from the crushing burden of emotional vulnerability. The session becomes dramatic as new evidence comes in. A series of text messages between Kody and a business partner. Messages that completely contradict all he has said regarding transparency and communication. The audience gasps as one, feeling the severity of the betrayal. Kody's face goes white, the color draining from it as he hears the implications of the messages. Christine leans forward, almost triumphantly, her eyes locking with Kody's. Robyn covers her mouth briefly, fighting back tears, while Janelle's hands clench into fists under the table. Meri's quiet gasp betrays the shock she feels deep within. The attorney in charge directs the inquiry further, inquiring from Kody regarding the messages, why he had kept them secret, why he had not sought advice from the family, and what his motive was in making such choices unilaterally. Kody's answers are evasive, defensive, and more disjointed, with each one betraying fissures in the carefully crafted veneer of domination he has sustained for decades. The women's reactions are palpable. Christine's eyes narrow in fury. Robyn's trembling hands rise slightly. Janelle's jaw tightens with disbelief. And Meri's lip quivers as she struggles to remain composed. Then, a surprise witness enters, a former family associate who has remained quiet for years. Their testimony is hesitant at first, detailing some of the talks they exchanged with Kody and others, uncovering secret deals and secret decisions unknown to the family. The witness attests to what Christine and Robyn have been saying, that Kody made decisions on his own, aligning with some interests at the expense of the family's common good. Every discovery comes like a hammer blow, ratcheting up the tension, driving Kody further into a corner of suspicion and uncertainty. Christine grabs the opportunity, voice crisp and urgent now with emotion and authority. "You made these choices like we didn't matter," she speaks in a husky tone, her eyes blazing with passion. "We trusted you and you broke that trust. Do you know what that is like?" Kody gulps hard, eyes scanning the room frantically, for a lifeline, for comprehension, but finding none. The courtroom is silent, drinking in the rawness of the confrontation, the gravity of responsibility, and the emotional cost of secret betrayal. Robyn stands up next, her anger and sadness shaking her voice. "I gave everything for this family. I tried to trust you. I tried to support you. And yet, all this, the concealment, the choices without us, has separated us." Her words linger in the air, each syllable weighted with sorrow. Janelle bends forward, voice strained but controlled, placing her own memory of times when she felt left out, unheard, and betrayed. Meri speaks almost whisper-thinly. "We were partners together. And you decided to keep secrets instead." The attorney presents financial records showing secret accounts and hidden transactions, well tabulated and dated. The audience takes audible gasps. Robyn's hands tremble as she looks at the figures. Christine's eyes go wide in shock. Janelle tenses her fists tightly and Meri's hand goes over her mouth in shock. Kody goes white, his demeanor crumbling as the gravity of the evidence takes hold. Each document acts as another layer of exposure, peeling back the protective veil Kody had built around himself for years. Christine, now fully in control of her emotions, addresses the court with authority and precision. "We've been patient. We've tried to trust, but patience has limits and trust has boundaries. And you've crossed every one of them." Her words resonate across the room, echoing in every corner, leaving the audience and the courtroom participants momentarily stunned. Robyn nods slightly, tears falling freely now, a mix of relief and sorrow flooding her. Janelle's jaw tightens further, and Meri's face reflects quiet devastation. Kody tries to answer, but his voice breaks. He pauses, looking at the judge, then at the women. The decades of silence, secret choices, and deceptions weigh upon him, and no words come that can restore what has been done. The courtroom is held breathless, each gasp in the packed room sounding loud in the thick atmosphere. The session nears its close, but before the judge calls a recess, a final, shocking revelation emerges. A confidential document is unveiled, a previously hidden agreement between Kody and a business partner that directly contradicts everything he has claimed. The courtroom reacts instantly. Robyn gasps. Christine leans forward, eyes wide. Janelle's fists clench, and Meri's face falls, silent tears streaming. Kody sits, agog, aware of the extent of exposure and betrayal that has now been brought out in the open for all to witness. As the session comes to a close, the courtroom slowly clears, the sound of footsteps echoing off the walls like a residual echo of the tempest that has just dissipated. The women collect their belongings, their faces a combination of weariness, determination, and muted vindication. Kody reclines, pale and shaken, realizing that the repercussions of secret deeds are now inevitable. Outside the courthouse, the sun is setting low, lengthening shadows that reflect the weighty burden of the revelations within. Every glance, every movement, every whispered reaction has painted a vivid picture. Christine's eyes blazing with determination, Robyn's trembling hands, Janelle's tense composure, Meri's quiet sorrow, and Kody's defeated demeanor. The story is far from over. The next session promises to take the tension even higher, delving into betrayals, confrontations, and the emotional unraveling that will leave everyone breathless. The courtroom is subdued as the session resumes, but the tension clings like a dense fog, weighing on all of them. Kody is at the center of it, his body tense, jaw clenched, eyes flicking with nervous glances toward each of the women. The strain of the previous sessions is etched in the creases of his face and the slight quiver of his fingers. The judge's gavel rings out through the courtroom, announcing the proceedings to begin, but accomplishing little toward calming the tempest raging in the breasts of the people in attendance. Christine stands up first. Her high heels ring out sharply on the gleaming floor, each step an affirmation of her resolve. She stands in front of the courtroom, her eyes locked on Kody with a mixture of accusation and pain. Her tone starts measured, unhurried, listing decisions made behind closed doors, vows broken, the innumerable times she felt dismissed or belittled. But the unhurriedness does not last. As she describes more personal moments, third-floor arguments, urgent whispers, clandestine betrayals, her tone becomes louder, staccato and authoritative, thundering through the room. Robyn sits silently, but the quiver in her hands gives away the tension twisting within her. She recognizes Christine's words sting deeply, for Kody and for the family as a whole. Janelle leans forward, drinking in every word, every phrasing, aware that today's revelations may change irrevocably the dynamics of trust and loyalty among the family. Meri fidgets in her seat, attempting to counteract it, though her lip just barely quivers with emotion on the verge of spilling over. Christine's testimony grows more intense as she recounts the moments when she confronted Kody about hidden decisions, only to be met with deflection or silence. "You promised transparency," she says, voice shaking yet firm. "But every decision was made behind our backs. Every decision that touched each of us was yours only." The courtroom is holding its breath, all eyes on Kody, all hearts hanging on the weight of her words. The courtroom is heavy with tension as the next hearing starts, and each heartbeat is louder than the previous one. Kody is sitting in his chair, back stiff, his fingers drumming restlessly against the rim of the table. The weight of the last revelations bears down on him, and even the smooth floorboards contribute to the tension in the room. Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri face him, each of them a maelstrom of feeling kept in check beneath level surfaces. Christine stands first, her eyes cold, voice level but charged with quiet rage. "We've been patient for years," she begins. But patience doesn't erase betrayal. She pauses, letting the words sink in, her eyes never leaving Kody's. Her testimony shifts seamlessly from recounting the facts to expressing the raw pain of emotional betrayal, times when she felt dismissed, excluded, or outright lied to. The courtroom listens in rapt attention. Even the judge leans forward slightly, sensing the gravity of the moment. Robyn regards Christine, chest constricted, a whirlpool of anger, sorrow, and terror on the brink of bursting forth. She settles slightly in the chair, catching Kody's gaze for a moment, seeking acceptance or regret, but seeing only guarded quiet. Janelle leans forward, mouth drawn taut, drinking in every phrase. Her thoughts whirl as she thinks about her own, the times she had been helpless and silenced. Meri sits silently, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her face a portrait of silent ruin. The session is building as Christine describes financial choices that have been made without the women's consent, the secret arrangements that have resulted in cracks in trust that will never mellow. Every secret decision, every hidden transaction, it's not just money. It's about respect, about loyalty, about promises that were broken, she says, her voice shaking with emotion. Kody opens his mouth, but Christine silences him abruptly, her words cutting as a blade. Robyn stands up, her voice gentle but filled with emotional charge. She speaks of late nights spent questioning herself, wondering if she had done something to be cast out, detailing sleepless nights and nervous mornings. Her words betray vulnerability and heartbreak, a whispered entreaty for acknowledgement of the emotional cost secret decisions have exacted from her. "We were supposed to be partners," she whispers, voice breaking. "We gave you our hearts, not just our lives." Christine steps forward once more, cranking up the heat. Her voice becomes louder, more commanding, as she asks Kody directly, "Do you even get the harm you've caused? The trust you've broken? The deception you've lived behind?" The courtroom falls silent, every single person holding their breath. Kody's lips open, but his voice cracks. He tries to explain, to justify, but the words sound feeble under the heavy load of the accumulating evidence and emotional proofs. Then comes a pivotal moment. The lawyer introduces a new piece of evidence, an email chain hidden for years, revealing Kody's clandestine plans that prioritized personal gain over family unity. The courtroom reacts instantly. Robyn gasps, tears pooling in her eyes. Christine leans forward, anger flashing across her face. Janelle's hands tighten into fists under the table, and Meri's soft sobs barely contained, echoing the emotional devastation in the room. Kody's face goes white, realization setting in as the full force of exposure bears down. The testimony keeps rising in intensity. Janelle stands, voice steady but slicing. "We trusted you to guide us, to make decisions with us. Instead, we're caught off guard, manipulated, and silenced." Her words fall like fallen stones, each syllable echoing through the courtroom, heightened tension. Kody swallows, nodding weakly, unable to quite meet her eye. Meri breaks her silence at last, speaking in a voice just above a whisper, shaking as she talks about herself. "I kept quiet for so long," she weeps, tears running down her face, in the hope things would improve. In the hope that trust could be restored. But it can't. Not when the ground has been broken. Her soft admission rips through the room, providing an added layer of naked, emotional openness to the court proceedings. The attorney questions Kody more intensively, inquiring about secret financial deals, secret talks, and choices that were made in secret from the wives. Every query peels back another layer of deception and concealment. Kody's answers become more strained, defensive, and reluctant, with cracks in the control he has worked so assiduously to exert. Christine leans forward, her tone slicing, cutting in whenever she feels evasion is attempted. Robyn's hands tremble noticeably. Janelle's jaw clenches, and Meri silently weeps, the emotional burden weighing down all present in the room. A new witness is brought in, a former business partner who testifies to intimate talks, secret deals, and unauthorized family decisions. Every disclosure is like a hammer blow, raising tension to almost unbearable heights. Kody's face goes white, his temples beating with sweat, as he sees just how vulnerable he is. The women respond visibly. Robyn's lips quiver with contained emotion. Christine's eyes ignite with anger. Janelle's fists tighten. Meri covers her face for an instant, overcome by sorrow. Christine moves forward, her voice now demanding the room. This isn't about money or contracts or decisions made in the dark. This is about honesty, trust, and love. And when those are shattered, all else falls apart. Her words linger in the air, vibrating around the room. Robyn cries freely, nodding, her chest convulsing with emotion. Janelle blazes with anger and frustration, and Meri quietly sobs, the emotional destruction evident to all. Kody makes one last attempt at defending himself, his voice shaking, attempting to justify his actions and motivations. But the room is unswayed. The testimony and emotional accounts have torn down any possibility of defense he could have constructed. The courtroom is locked in time, each player trapped in the gravity of the moment. The judge requests a brief recess, the gavel ringing out like a mournful drumbeat. But the suspense never fades. Outside the courtroom, the sun's rays fall across the steps in long, pointed shadows, a reflection of the broken state of the family. The women pick up their notes, their faces a composite of fatigue, determination, and subdued victory. Kody sits still, his eyes unfocused, aware that the cost of secrecy and secret decisions are now irreversible. The burden of responsibility falls heavily, and escape is impossible from the realities exposed in the courtroom. The emotional landscape is painted vividly. Christine's icy glare softened only by grief. Robyn's trembling hands and tear-streaked face. Janelle's tense posture and clenched fists. Meri's quiet sorrow and Kody's pale, haunted expression. The session ends on a cliffhanger, the family's future uncertain, trust shattered, and the next revelations promising to push everyone to their emotional limits. The courtroom is electric with tension as the fifth session opens, and it seems as if every individual in the room can sense the weight of the impending storm. Kody occupies the middle seat, shoulders slouched but hands shaking ever so gently. His gaze darts to Christine, Robyn, Janelle, and Meri, all four women exuding a subdued intensity that causes the walls themselves to tense. The judge enters, the gavel ringing off the desk with a loud crack, its echo echoing like a drumbeat that there is no going back now. Christine stands up first. Her heels click off against the highly polished wooden floor, each step measured, ringing out in the heavy hush. She stands as if a woman shouldering the built-up agony of years, a combination of anger, hurt, and resolve drawn into her very stance. "We've tried," she says, voice steady but laced with emotion, "to forgive, to trust, to hope that decisions made in secret would eventually come to light with honesty. But those days are over." The courtroom falls silent. Even Kody's usual attempts to maintain composure falter under the intensity of her words. Robyn takes the stand next, her voice quieter but no less powerful. "We were to be a family," she whispers, her eyes welling with tears. "We trusted, we obeyed, we gave our all, and yet, everything was kept from us." Her words linger, delicate but sharp, as she speaks of the toll on her emotions of the last few years. Sleepless nights, worry-filled mornings, and the relentless uncertainty of being excluded from decisions that shaped her whole life. Janelle stands also, her placid facade only just containing the anger and hurt seething within her. She speaks of particular moments when she had been intentionally left out of family decisions, situations in which her opinion should have carried weight but was quashed. "We are not objects to be picked up and put down at your whim," she declares assertively, voice rich with authority. "We are family, and we should be treated with transparency, respect, and truth." Meri, the most reserved of the women, finally breaks her silence, her voice shaking but heavy with grief. "I remained silent for too long," she confesses. "I wanted things to change. I wanted trust to be restored. But now I see that silence has only made betrayal bigger." The lawyer faces Kody, urging him to comment on the evidence spread out in sessions before. Files, emails, and witness accounts all point in a direction of secrecy, lies, and deceit. Kody stands up, voice trembling but trying to be composed. "I was doing this to protect the family," he states, trying to rationalize the secret decisions. "I never meant to hurt anyone," Christine cuts in harshly, her eyes blazing into him. "Safeguarding the family? By lying? By concealing everything? How is that safeguarding?" The courtroom as a whole appears to lean forward, tension so thick it feels as though it can be sliced with a knife. Robyn brushes away a tear from her cheek, fighting to keep her head up as the crushing weight of years of deception weighs upon her. Janelle's hands are clenched in her lap, the knuckles white, as she absorbs every word and prepares for the confrontation she knows is coming. Meri's soft sobs are almost inaudible, but their presence adds another layer of raw emotional intensity to the room. Then comes the bombshell. A set of financial documents and correspondences previously undisclosed are presented as evidence. They describe clandestine dealings, secret accounts, and plans that Kody had undertaken without the women's knowledge or permission. The courtroom audience gasps as one. Kody's face goes white. The evidence is inescapable. Robyn's lips shake. Christine leans forward wide-eyed. Janelle presses her hands together, and Meri hides her face in her hands for a moment, overwhelmed. The witness, a former family advisor who had watched Kody's choices from the outside in, testifies on the stand. Their voice is steady but resolute, speaking about private conversations that upheld the women's testimonies. They expose the level of Kody's secrecy, how things were decided, deals kept under wraps, and how greed consistently trumped the good of the family as a whole. The courtroom gasps in unison, each inhalation, each exhalation making the emotional impact louder. Kody's expression turns cold. Realizing the consequences of having all those secrets laid bare in front of the judge, the wives, and the public, Christine advances, voice shaking with pent-up anger. "Do you even understand what you've done?" she accuses. "This isn't about mistakes. This is about betrayal, deceit, and broken trust. Trust that we gave you freely, trusting in the man we married." Robyn contributes quietly, but cuttingly. "Every lie, every choice made without us, has opened wounds that might never close. How could you do this to the family you told us you loved?" Janelle and Meri chime in, voices overlapping in a harmonic thrum of emotional defiance. Janelle's tone is unyielding. "We are not objects to be manipulated. We are human beings deserving of truth, honesty, and respect." Meri's soft voice carries a quiet but devastating weight. "We tried to stay united, but unity cannot exist where deception reigns." The combined force of their testimonies leaves Kody nearly speechless, the courtroom holding its collective breath, the air electric with suspense. The lawyer then presents a hidden contract, a document Kody had hoped would never be seen, outlining a clandestine agreement with an external business partner that directly contradicts his statements in court. The courtroom gasps as the magnitude of this revelation sinks in. Kody's face drains of color. His hands tremble slightly as he tries to process the exposure. Christine's eyes flash with disbelief and anger. Robyn's chest heaves with sorrow. Janelle's hands clench tighter, and Meri's quiet sobs break into audible cries. The emotional crescendo continues as Kody attempts to respond, explaining that his actions were meant to protect the family financially. But the women are unmoved. Their pain, anger, and betrayal are raw, and nothing he says can undo the damage. Christine steps closer, her voice rising with intensity. Protecting the family? You've destroyed it. Every secret, every lie has left scars that may never heal. Robyn's voice is added to hers, shaking with rage. We loved you, we trusted you, and this is how you reward us? The judge sits in silence, gavel at the ready, as the scene peaks. The years of deception, secrecy, and emotional betrayal come back to haunt him. The women's voices crescendo and decrescendo, intertwined with anger, sorrow, and despair, a symphony of unadulterated emotion. The courtroom crowd leans forward, enthralled, sensing that the answer is anything but simple, and that the effects of this session will echo through the family for decades to come. Finn ally. After a full day of emotional confrontation, it is decided to present one last item of evidence. A tape-recorded conversation during which Kody confesses to selectively disclosing information, affirming the cycle of secrecy and deception that the women have long suspected. The tape is played in court, each word ringing out across the room. No question as to the extent of the betrayal. The emotional cost is instant. Robyn holds her mouth, tears streaming. Christine's hands tremble with anger. Janelle clasps her hands together, her jaw clenched. Meri weeps silently but helplessly. Kody sits rigid, pale, his self-control shattered. The gavel falls once more, marking the conclusion of this charged hearing. The women collect their papers, faces a blend of fatigue, loss, and silent vindication. Kody remains seated, stunned, the realization of years of closeted choices and concealment registering. Outside, the sun goes down low, projecting long shadows that reflect the cracks now visible in the family. Every glance, every movement, every subtle shift tells a story. Christine's icy determination, Robyn's trembling vulnerability, Janelle's tense composure, Meri's quiet devastation, and Kody's pale, haunted expression. The session ends with a cliffhanger. The family's future uncertain, trust irreparably damaged, and the next sessions promising further emotional upheaval and dramatic revelations.